All right. Hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. This is your go to podcast for insights on modern healthcare and wellness solutions. I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt, your host, and today we have a very, very special episode lined up just for you. Now, before I tell you all about our two distinguished guests, first, I'd love to give you some background information. I see that behind the scenes, we've got our other distinguished guests here, Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. And of course, you know that as you've seen all over social media, we are here joined by none other than Dr. Natacha Pierre again, as she has so graciously accepted the call and even moved around a few things on her schedule just for us. So I think we need to feel very, very lucky, and we need to feel very special. So, and actually, I see Dr. Thompson in the background getting ready. I see him in the background. He's going to let us know when he's ready. I just want to let you guys know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on multiple platforms. First, YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is Dr. B TV. That's the word doctor spelled out DOCTOR. The letter B is in boy. TV for television, and also Instagram and Facebook pages, as you've seen all over social media. So please follow, like, share, and subscribe to help support this program. Now, for Dr. Pierre, for those who don't know, she is a pediatrician who is based in Texas, but she offers a whole lot more. I'm going to let her tell you about it, because if you missed it, if you missed the last episode, shame on you. But you're in for a treat, because, hey, she's back again with us. And so she's going to tell you all about what she does. She's going to tell us all about her newsletter, and you can subscribe to that to get the latest and greatest on naturopathic remedies and how to beat the odds, okay, and not just be hooked on prescription drugs. And also Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. This gentleman is a clinical psychologist at Jackson State University. We had a few things going on before the show, and so I'm going to locate his bio, but I'm going to tell you it's an extensive one, okay? It is extensive. I had to do my homework and do some meditation when I got done reading this thing. So I'm going to let Dr. Thompson tell you all about himself. We were recently on a program, a men's program over there in the Fondren area. It was amazing. That's where I met this young brother. He's a wonderful guy, a pillar in the community. I also saw we were joined by Dr. Justin Turner. I don't know if you're still there, Doc, but we really appreciate you joining us. He's just gotten a very, very significant position over at University of Mississippi Medical Center, which is also both of that's our alma mater. And so we're so glad to have him joining us. All right. I think I've talked enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Thompson, are you back there? Can you hear us and see us? I think now Dr. Pierre kind of went out of the, let's see, 1 second here. Okay, is your camera on there? I don't know why it went out of the, see if you can, oh, you put it, oh, you just said, okay, see if you turn it back. Okay. No, not on the main screen there. Let's see. And then same thing for Dr. Thompson. I think, let me see if we can, what I'm going to do is, if y'all can just come on back, click the button to come back in, okay? See if that helps there. Let's see. All right. We're going to get them right back in. For some reason, it's not. So just bear with us just for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Out there, Instagram world, wanted to say hello to everyone. We see, we want to welcome some of our new viewers. Oh, I see. Hold 1 second. Let me add to scene. Okay. Huh. It's still. Dr. Pierre, are you there? Can you? Let's see. I see her backstage. Okay, looks like she's trying. I think they're having some severe thunderstorms over there in Texas where she is. So just bear with us. I see she's trying to come. I know she's having some issues with that. And Dr. Thompson. Okay. You know, these technical difficulties, of course, that must mean God has something special for us this episode, okay? Because, you know, when these things happen, that's just only the devil trying to prevent it. But he is not going to take our joy. We know that. And so we're just going to say a prayer. You guys say some prayers with us, and we're going to get right back to it. I see she's trying to join. It's going to happen, though. I want to say big welcome to our new viewers here. I see some familiar faces over here and unfamiliar faces. We've got a big shout out to Dr. Justin Turner again. I see you've joined us on Instagram land. We also have Estativa the Diva, Thick Chick Pilates, Moyo, Indeed, all these new amazing supporters. Okay, to scene. Okay, there we go, Dr. Thompson. I got you in there. I got Dr. Thompson in. Okay, 1 second here, guys. Okay. Okay. 1 second, guys. I'm sorry about this. Okay. All right. We're going to try this. Just bear with us there. Bear with us 1 second. All right. Let's see. Add to scene. All right. There we go right there. We have a little technical difficulty. We know you have the storms going on out there in Texas. So we hope that you and your family are okay. All right. We see you there, Dr. Pierre. Stay right there. Stay right there. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us, Dr. Pierre? Are you with us? Sheena is with us. Where is Sheena there with you at the? Is Sheena right beside you? Oh, right. Okay, I got you. Well, hello to the Sheena Ford, hailing all the way from Orlando, Florida, the city beautiful, and we are all representing the Oakwood University. All right. All right. There's Dr. Thompson is with us. Okay, guys. Thank you all for sticking with us. I see we got pretty basically everybody is still with us. All right, guys, we're going to get right to it. So let me turn this over. There. There we go. All right. How you guys feeling tonight?
Good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you again, second episode in a row, the incomparable Dr. Natacha Pierre, and also my new friend, my brother from another mother, the Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. Give it to him, ladies. All right, we had a little technical difficulty, but I'm so glad you guys stayed. I see Sheena. Okay, there we go. He said, I'm on this time live from Fort Worth. All right. Thank you for joining. All right, I'm going to start with, you know what? Let's do this. Ladies first, always. Dr. Pierre, would you go ahead and just tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in Dallas, Texas?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much, Dr. Bookhardt, for having me back this week, 2 weeks in a row. I'm so grateful for this because I believe that it's important to have such a platform like you to be able to educate the public on things that we don't necessarily get at the bedside because of the pressures of medicine. We don't spend enough time with our patients to educate them on ways that they can heal their bodies with alternative options and holistic ways. So I'm a pediatrician, board certified in Dallas, Texas. Right now, in my training, trained in pediatrics. However, I did most of my career in the urgent care, acute care setting. However, I started noticing a trend with kids that they were starting to get chronic diseases that we studied were common in adults. And based on the statistics that I learned that children this generation will no longer outlive their parents. And so I
Wow.
started to see them having diseases that we used to see only in certain groups, like alcoholics, fatty liver disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and depression, anxiety, autism is on the rise, and just a lot of diseases that unfortunately profit the medical industry, but does nothing for our families. And so I did a lot of teaching to my patients as a one-on-one, but of course there's a limit to how much I can do on a one-on-one basis with a fast clinic. And so I started to move towards more education, medical education, and discovering and teasing out the root causes of these chronic diseases that are more common in certain demographics, of course, but also in just in general population, because we see an uptick in stress and processed and ultra processed foods and environmental risk factors in the air we breathe and in the food that we drink and everything that we consume is affecting us. It's not just something on the side. It actually affects our lifespan and our health span. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm in a transitional period while I build out coaching and books and also just speaking more publicly about ways that we can reverse our chronic diseases. So thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so glad you touched on that. And Dr. Thompson, I want to give you the floor to introduce yourself to our Telehealth Tuesday audience. But I want to just piggyback on that quickly. That you guys, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first. You heard it right here. So that's why what we're doing on Telehealth Tuesday, as I say each and every week now, we do eventually, we claim that it's going to happen, that we will become syndicated and all that good stuff, and you'll see us on the radio and TV airwaves. But the good thing, just like how independent artists, how they have all their freedom, they keep their masters, all that. Well, we are still lucky enough to be able to say the same at Telehealth Tuesday. And you heard what Dr. Pierre said. So many people don't understand that, and that big pharma controls everything, multi-trillion-dollar industry. And I'm going to say it right here, folks, and it's not going to be popular. The medical field is not here to keep you healthy. And I said it first. All right. But before I get on the soapbox, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. My good brother, I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and let them know who you are, if they don't already know you, where you're from, and what you're doing over there at VI Love. Oh, let me unmute that. Unmute that mic there. There we go. Let's see. Hold on. Unmute that.
Can you hear me?
Yep. There we go. There we go. All
Okay.
right. Go ahead, brother. Start that. Thank you. There we
Oh
go.
man, I said you were getting on that soapbox, and I want to get on there with you about the medical field not being there to try to keep you healthy, there to make money. But let me get off of that. But I'm Marshall Thompson Jr., a clinical psychologist. My major areas of expertise were originally anger, anxiety, and depression, but then I got into the relationship field, helping relationships and couples, as well as working with PTSD, working with trauma, working with addicts, and the whole nine yards. So I really like to do it all, pretty much, to be honest with you. Right now, I teach at Jackson State University, but I do a good bit in the community. I have a martial arts academy as well, where I do work with a lot of the youth as well as the adults, and working on some things in the community. Right now, uh, trying to integrate into South Jackson, not only creating a place for mental health, but free psychoeducation and free therapy for the youth, young
Mm.
adults in our community. I just feel like there's a lot of trauma that occurs in our community, and we don't have the solutions that we need. And they want to, a lot of times, just want to put our kids on medications or put them in jail. So my job is kind of
Absolutely.
plug that hole up a little bit and kind of help them. So no use in talking about me. We got a lot more to talk about tonight.
All right, we appreciate that, man. Well, let's get right into it. Dr. Pierre, I want to turn it over to you. I'd love for you to tell us, why you're so passionate about, women's health, and you wanted to also discuss fibroids. And so we have a few questions tailored to that, and then we have a few questions for Dr. Thompson tailored to the mental. How does this affect people's mentation and their psyche, and what can we do to deal with problems such for women, such as fibroids and, everyone, hypertension, diabetes, all the regular chronic conditions. And he's going to help us develop some strategies and coping mechanisms. But all right, Dr. Pierre, tell us about, your passion for helping women and from a naturopathic standpoint when it comes to understanding fibroids.
Right. So if you guys don't know this, July is Fibroid Awareness Month. And, there's a lot of months for different disease. And fibroid is one of those diseases that uniquely affect of African American women at a disproportional rate. And about 80% of Black women will develop fibroids by age 50. And personally, a good 50 to 75% of the women that I know and love that are in my, friend group, that are in my family, close and relatives, have fibroids and suffered from fibroids. And fibroids is not, what fibroids is if you don't know, they are benign or non-cancerous tumors that grow in and around the uterus. And they range from golf size to big grapefruit sizes, and they affect the woman in multiple ways, both psychologically and physically. But one of the most common symptoms are heavy menstrual bleeding, which leads to anemia, which leads to fatigue, chronic fatigue, and just in general everything that is involved with heavy menstrual bleeding. Imagine bleeding for 7 to 10 days and having to change your pads 5 times a day with heavy pads. But also pain. Pain is really one of the most common hallmark signs of fibroids. So the back pain, the pelvic pain, and just pain in when you want to enjoy yourself. So that includes painful sexual intercourse, and just pain with the pressure of the fibroids pushing against the bladder or the colon. So it can cause constipation. It can cause frequent urinary frequency as well, but then also psychological. It can cause, the stomach to protrude outward because it is a mass in the uterus. And so it can cause unsightly abdominal distension, which can cause psychological effects as well in the woman. Now, this is really interesting because why is it that it affects Black women at a disproportionate rate? With Black women get it 3 times more than white women, and of course, the literature has no solid reason for that. There are some genetic predispositions to it, but that's not all. I've always been a big believer that our body keeps the score. And I also attributed that to the fact that Black women are also at a higher rate of pregnancy complications and infant.
I think we lost you there,
Now,
Doctor. Okay, there we
the
go.
body keep because I'm a big believer of the body keeping the score. I
Mhm.
believe that throughout our generations as Black women, we've undergone a lot of trauma, and we have energetic centers in our bodies. And though these things are no longer legal, what we endured during our days of slavery, however, your body still has and holds all of that trauma in the womb. So I believe there's a dichotomy of, yes, our food system, over processed food, our genetics, but also we have a lot of trauma that we need to release in our womb that contributes to this. So it's very complicated situation. But I think the hope is that all of this is reversible.
Absolutely. Um, and, we want to definitely commend you for, the work that you're doing, not only in Dallas, but, with your newsletter that's able, anyone basically anywhere in the world is able to subscribe to your newsletter, and they can get this unbiased, opinion and recommendations. Of course, I know you, and I know you personally, everything is going to be, referenced to the T. So this is not even just opinion. This is scientific facts. This is based on evidence, and this is the real deal. And so let our viewers know, please, the name of your newsletter, and we'll talk about how they can access it. But just tell us the name of your newsletter and why you started that, and then I want to go to Dr. Thompson real quick.
Yeah, so I started a newsletter in the fall of last year, and I wanted to basically have a platform in what I always tell my patients, and they would always ask me if I had a clinic, a way of working with me more. And my way of expressing myself is through writing. And so I'm very grateful for the platform called Substack. And it's a platform not just for newsletters. There's, it's almost like a social media aspect to it, but Substack is where you can find my newsletter, and it's entitled Mind, Body, Heal. And from there, in fact, tomorrow I'm dropping a special article on Fibroid Awareness Month that will detail a little bit more about what I'm talking about in terms of not only the awareness of where we are as a society, but what we can do practically to reverse these diseases without medication and surgery, which is the first line for a lot of Black women. So it's Mind Body Heal. We talk a lot about, I mean, the book, the letter before that, the post before that was talking about why we're not manifesting. And so it really goes into a lot of mind body healing and psychological reversal of trauma. I'm big on reversing trauma. I wrote a book. It's still in the final editing stages. And so there's just trauma is one of those things we don't talk a lot about, being a big contributor to physical disease and illness. And we can do all the herbs, we can do all of the medications, but unless we release these energy centers that are stuck with us, then we'll continue to manifest illness. So I believe in the holistic approach.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So you heard it. All right, I'm about to go. We're going to shift it real quick to Dr. Thompson. I want to get his opinion and want him to weigh in on this, give us some tips. But just real quick, guys, you heard it first. She's about to drop. Say that just real quick, Dr. Pierre. You about to drop what tomorrow?
A newsletter article.
There we go. You heard it first on Telehealth Tuesday. All right, Dr. Thompson, man, I'm eager to get you in here. So my question for you, overall, would you say that stress and trauma can make physical conditions? Actually, you know what? Before we go into stress and trauma, I would love to, because we know certainly that stress and trauma affects our body. But what are some more natural ways to help manage the stress that's related to this, such stress, anxiety, depression, when people are diagnosed with either a chronic illness, like hypertension, diabetes, and also especially for women that are unfortunately dealing with fibroids? How do you manage all of that? What do you tell your patients?
But there are a couple of things that we can do, and I definitely want to piggyback to what Dr. Pierre was talking about the body keeps the score. Not only does the body keeps the score, the mind keeps the score as well. And we go back
I think
and we
he
look.
might be frozen on there.
No.
Is it? Because
He's
I think it's. You can
Yeah.
see him. You can see him. It's frozen on my screen there.
I
Let's
think
see.
it's your network.
Yeah,
Just wanted
I
to
see
make
her
it.
good too, and hear you well.
Can you hear him comment?
Yep, I hear. I hear her
Why is it
coming.
not doing that on my end? Well, that's weird.
But I think we can hear Dr. Marshall, Dr. Thompson.
Okay.
We can
So if she was talking a moment ago, and then she said that the body keeps the score, I was like, oh man, she knows her stuff. That's definitely true. But
Dr.
I think
Turner saying I
also
hear him well. Man, that's strange.
is Dr. Turner. Is it anybody else saying they're hearing
Let's
us?
see here.
we can all hear you well. So you
Let
can
me
continue.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
She was
Let me
talking about
check
the body
something.
keeps the score, but I think not only does the body keep the score, but your mind and your mentality keeps the score as well. It doesn't stop from there. And we go back. I just finished a book that I'll be releasing on Monday, and one of the chapters where I talked about in that was
Okay.
talking about the
Okay.
things that we deal with in our community as African Americans. And I think that the African American woman has had to deal with a whole lot more than people realize. So that every day dealing with different stressors. So think about it before we get into this. And I'm not going to be long with it, but think about before we get into this, we
I
look
can
at
hear him.
slavery and we look at book breaking, we look at the effects of the African American woman having to be there to pick up everything that's being put down on us to protect the son. Not only did she have to protect her family, but she had to protect the husband and had to watch the husband deal with the psychological effects that he was
Wow.
dealing with from being treated that way. And this gets passed on. So now we look at it in our society and we see we talk about black women being aggressive, black women being this. No, black women are made to be for centuries now, our protector in a sense. And now we have to do the things that we can do to help kind of transition back together, kind of help us coexist
Hmm.
together in a way in the society. So within that, you got to look at what she talked about how they feel in the body keeping a score. But we also look at some things that happen naturally too. African American women in the healthcare field, we know, are not taken seriously, right?
Mm.
More
Hmm.
African American women die during childbirth than other ethnicities, correct? Right.
Absolutely.
Also with this, she said, we about three times more, and I looked that up before, three times more women have fibroid problems, African American women. Why is that? I don't think these things are accidental. And then in that, when you look at it, 50% of those women, if you look at the research on it, it says they deal with depression and anxiety. So
Hmm.
now you have a whole cycle that affects the thoughts affect how you feel, but not only does that happen, how you feel affect how you think, and it's just a constant cycle of going back and forth. So one of the things that I would say to do is, and I talk about this a lot, especially looking at cognitive distortion. I tell people to do it often. I tell them, look online. You can do it free of charge. Go on Google, click it, type in cognitive distortion. You're going to see catastrophizing,
Mm-hmm.
overgeneralizing, jumping to conclusions, those different things that we might do,
Mm-hmm.
personalizing. All right. We all have automatic thoughts, but the amount of automatic thoughts we have affect us negatively. The more we have, we want to be able to more respond instead of react. But these automatic thoughts make us react, and we react from the trauma that we've experienced, not only from the past, but also from our present, our lives as well. When I say the past, I mean through slavery and through other things of that nature, and things that we've been indoctrinating into us. But when we start looking at how we were raised as children, and we start seeing things, and we start operating those ways. So one of the things I ask people to do before we start doing any work, real quick, is do some type of grounding technique, some type of mindfulness technique, all right, or something of that nature to kind of help you. And the easiest one I like to do is breathing in and out. And I ask people to put their hands on their stomach, close their eyes, go to a place where they can be quiet, right? Breathe in, take deep breaths in as deep as you can, and make sure people are not taking shallow breaths, because sometimes people take shallow breaths and then put themselves in a state of panic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to panic. Take deep breaths in, fill your stomach as it rises and falls. And while you're doing that, breathe in. But I ask people to imagine those breaths as being white going in and blue coming out to kind of keep you in tune with it. Feel
Mm-hmm.
every fiber of that breath, and then relax and start feeling your feet. What my feet feel like. Some people are like, man, I didn't notice that I had a little tension in my neck today. I've been feeling a little tight. And you start recognizing, the more you do that, the more you start relieving stress internally, and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to not let so many external factors in to stress you out, because you might see this joker coming sideways at you or something, how you would have reacted before. Now, so you know what, something's not right with this situation. You might not even know what it is, but just because I'm not reacting, I'm responding, I can make better decisions. But a lot of times, slowing down, doing some type of grounding techniques, also doing giving some type of meditation, some type of prayer groups, some type of just support groups helps out a lot. Just expressing these things, and I talk about it a lot too. Journaling, taking time to express. Right, a lot. I don't. I don't like a lot of people expressing a lot on social media. I can't tell them not to, which is fine to do, because
Yeah.
I express a
Yeah.
lot. Because you end up with a lot of unwanted advice and things of that nature. But I would say it does help a little bit, but I would ask you even more, journal to yourself. Get a computer, get a book or something like that, and start writing in. And the more you do that, you're releasing. And I talk about this a lot. One of the therapies that people use for trauma, it's called written exposure therapy. It's called wet therapy. And I talk about it all the time. It's the first line. And all that basically is, you meet once a week, right, with your therapist, and you write out everything that went on through that traumatic experience for about 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you expose yourself to it, your body and your mind realizes, I'm not gonna die reliving this thing. I'm not gonna die talking about this thing. And now you get into a place of habituation. So you gradually start relaxing and realizing, you know what, I'm okay. And that stressor is no longer stressful. So even when you have these negative thoughts about the fibroids and looking at how your body's now looking, if you have some um, protrusions with your stomach or the pain, different other things of that nature, once you start putting those in a formula and saying, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
I am hurting a little bit, but I do have a good doctor. We do have a lot of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
right now about this resource, and I'm going to be okay. There's people that survived it, compared to thinking about, oh my goodness, I got fibroids. Now that's another thing on my plate, and I don't know what's going to happen with this, and the
Mm-hmm.
bill's not going to get paid, and I got to do it to my doctor. Allow yourself to get to those states. So I think just slowing down and really working on some grounding techniques. That's,
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Man,
think that'll kind of help a lot.
you know, Dr. Pierre, I see you in the background just nodding that head, just nodding that head in agreement. Look, ladies and gentlemen, quick pause for the cause. If you don't know by now, this is Telehealth Tuesday. Each and every Tuesday, God willing, even despite technical difficulties, as long as God blesses us with life, we are here for you. Everyone that comes onto the show, there's no honorarium. Nobody's being paid at this point. These people, these experts are here for you to make sure that you have the best raw in the most raw form, advice and up-to-date information possible, unbiased and unblemished. Telehealth Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Well, I would say Central Standard Time, but I know my mom's listening and always ready to correct me. It's daylight savings and all that. So 7 p.m., okay, based out of Jackson, Mississippi, but eventually worldwide. So we are here tonight with Dr. Natacha Pierre, again, who has graciously accepted the call to be on with us. I know, Dr. Pierre, if you can't, we're going to come back to you because I know you have a few things to say. You're very passionate about fibroids and women's health, and especially given the awareness of this month. And then also we are joined by Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. Again, recently met this brother. He is on fire, clinical psychologist at Jackson State University. And big shout out to Dr. Arrington and her wonderful sister. We did the event over there in the Fondren, which is when I met him several weeks ago. And it was just a men's only audience. And Miss Felicia Cameron, they are doing some amazing work. These young ladies, please check them out. Yeah, we had all kind of amazing guests there. And so after I met this guy, I said, man, one day I got to ask him to come on Telehealth Tuesday. So, all right, Dr. Pierre. So let's go back to some of the things before I go with any other pre-prepared questions. Let us know, are there any things on your mind that you want to make sure our listeners are aware of, some things that you wanted to illustrate for us?
Yeah, so there might be someone on this call right now who have fibroids, who suffering from fibroids, and who've already started taking the steps to reduce or decrease their fibroids. There are different healing modalities for fibroids, and of course, unfortunately, this is also the case that whenever there's an invasive treatment, it's offered to Black women more so, and so Black women actually have a 3-time rate of getting hysterectomies and being offered a hysterectomy. So I've heard of different stories from Black women that their OBGYN has offered a hysterectomy as a first line. And of course, some of these women are still in childbearing years, and that affects their fertility forever. And so I want women to know that even if you have grapefruit-sized fibroids, there are other options that do not necessarily include hysterectomies, and therefore it's very important to know that you are your own advocate and to understand that when you work with a provider, it's an informed care with them, and therefore you can be empowered to ask them about different natural healing modalities that you can try, along with possible things that are fertility preserving. So you can do things like embolization or myomectomies, but also addressing the root cause. And we talked about the trauma that lives in the body. So yes, doing things like energy healing, Reiki, meditations, and even sound baths. And doing things specifically for the womb, circles and things of that nature. But also, reversing insulin resistance. That's a very, very big part of fibroid. We talked about that a lot last week. But insulin resistance, huge part of it. And there's, fibroid definitely does have an estrogen dominance. So looking to see how you can, remove excess estrogen in your body, and in your environment. So removing endocrine disruptors, like the things we put in our skin, in our hair, what we cook with, being mindful of that. And of course, things that, you put into your body, whole foods, unprocessed foods, not organic foods, those kinds of things. So there's lots of different, healing from fibroids is definitely multifactorial, but we tend to go straight to hysterectomy for Black women. So I want you to empower you. There are ways to shrink your fibroids that do not take away your entire uterus.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. I see Dr. Turner made a comment. He said, we're talking about disparities. He's saying it's the same with it's the same with C-sections compared to vaginal deliveries, that disparities certainly exist. And, that's nothing could be more true. I think he'll be right. Dr. Thompson will be right back. But yeah, I appreciate you letting us know that, Dr. Turner. And again, not only, like I said, I can't stop celebrating this brother enough, because not only is he now going to be a professor with UMC, but he was just left after, I'm not sure how many years you served, Dr. Turner, but you can let us know. He was the chief medical officer for the entire state of Mississippi, chief medical officer for the state of Mississippi. So we wanted to just give a big shout out. Sheena, our good friend Sheena says, I am a huge supporter of embolization, one of the best decisions of my life. You know, before we go, Dr. Pierre, I'm going to go with you for the next question. But I just want to, because, okay, he said he served 3 years. Okay. We appreciate your service. You know, that's one of the things, and Dr. Pierre, like you were saying, because when I first got to Mississippi 12 years ago, you know, I worked as a surgical technologist at Winnie Palmer Hospital in Orlando. And, you know, like you were saying, embolization, you know, ablation, endometrial ablation, different things that can be done for what we call menorrhagia or excessive bleeding, or they have menometrorrhagia, which is excessive bleeding and in between the periods. There are so many things that could be done, and we're talking 22 years ago. So I know, you know, I'm certainly not an OBGYN, but I know that there are so many other things and other treatment modalities that can be done before removing a woman's womb, before removing her uterus, her ability to bear children. And so there are certainly, if it's just like people who say, well, racism doesn't exist in America, well, you might be a fool if you think that's the truth. And I'm here to tell you that definitely there are disparities amongst the African American community for women compared to other races. So we're just putting that out there. But all right, real quick, let's see. No questions right now, just learning and taking the good information in. All right. And Dr. Turner, I thought you were the first Black, but I didn't want to say that because I wasn't sure. First Black chief medical officer for the state of Mississippi. I think we need to, let's give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it to him. Amazing. All right. So let's see, Dr. Pierre, let's go back on this. This is such an important topic. You know, how would you say a woman can know if her symptoms are fibroid related? Like, you know, in your experience, how do these ladies present, you know, to the office, like with abdominal pain? You know, how do they present so that we can make sure our listeners are keen on what to look for if they could be suffering from this?
Yeah, so one of the biggest number one signs that you can even get as a teenager or a young adult is heavy menstrual periods. And that's why it's so important for women to look at their cycle as a vital sign. You must track your cycle. Your cycle can tell you so much about your internal health. So now we're very, very fortunate to have so many different types of apps that can basically measure your cycle. And you start the first day of your period, and typical length of period is 3 to 7 days. But women typically that have fibroids tend to last a little bit longer, or the full 7 days without it slowing down. And then, of course, during the period, how heavy it is. So the length of time and how heavy your period is very important, because that will directly lead to anemia. And so when you have anemia, you're obviously not just experiencing the discomfort of heavy bleeding, you're also experiencing the discomfort of chronic fatigue and depression and cravings. And it can affect everything, high heart rate and excessive sleeping. All of these things are associated. So those are the very main symptoms are that. Not everyone who has fibroids experiences pain. Now you know that fibroids can be anywhere around the uterus, in or around the uterus, depending on where it's sitting. Of course, it can cause pain in the front, in the back, bloating, constipation, frequency of your urine. So those are the main symptoms of that. But then beyond that, for women, it can also cause pain during intercourse as well, and just general pain in during the times of intimacy that can be really debilitating as well. So I would say those are the main things, is and heavy menstrual periods, and then of course even regular bleeding. But when you get to regular bleeding, you might want to look into hormonal changes, such as PCOS as well. But unlike PCOS, where there's a progesterone and even testosterone dominance, With
Hmm.
with fibroids, it's more of an estrogen dominance as well. So those will be the main things I would say are the main symptoms that you want to definitely talk to your doctor about, because some fibroids are subclinical.
Mm. Man, this, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know any other place where you can get this type of information and for free, only on Telehealth Tuesday. So we just want you all, and I put the shameless plug in there. That is amazing information. And, like we were saying, um, why is it that uh, in African American women that they want to remove your uterus so badly? Why is that? I think we all know the answer. But the truth is that, like we said, she talked about heavy bleeding, like we said, and just to define this for the audience, because I know everyone's not a medical professional or anything, or we want to make sure that everybody understands. When we talk about hysterectomy, right, that is the removal of uterus. Sometimes they will keep a woman's tubes and ovaries. Sometimes they take those as well. And then if they take both tubes and ovaries, both sets, then you have to be on hormone therapy, additional medication. But also what we talked about, the embolization, using these words, ablation. Ablation means that basically they're burning the inside of the uterus so that you won't have a period anymore. You'll never have a period again, hopefully. Maybe some spotting there, but that's a way, instead of removing the uterus completely for bleeding, if it's simply more painful bleeding, painless bleeding or bloating, but the fibroid tumors are not huge, right? Then those women usually would be candidates for something like an endometrial ablation, or as Sheena Ford said, an embolization, and which she also stated was the best decision of her life. So we just want to make sure that you guys are know that you're knowledgeable about what that means. Okay, Jasmine Briscoe. All right, one of our top supporters. She says, "I've noticed that men will notice a change in a woman's body before she does sometimes." You know what? I want to give that one to Dr. Thompson here. Marshall, if you wouldn't, I don't know if you care to weigh in on that and talk about the psychological components of these types of things.
Well, there's a lot that goes along with that, man. And we look at the higher levels of stress, and it kind of increases the severity of fibroids and how the symptoms present themselves. And a lot of times, not only do men notice the physical change, but they notice the emotional changes in their wives and their spouses too. Hormonal changes occur, and different things of that nature occur within them, and it starts causing a lot of stresses. And one of the things with us is we really, as men, nature, we kind of want a little bit of peace. Um, you know, and it
That's
kind
right.
of bothers us a little bit. We're trying to see what's going on. Something's not right. They might not even notice it sometimes, right? And I've learned not to say certain things at certain times. And one of the key things that we've learned from television earlier on and say, "Oh, is your menstrual cycle going on? Why you said it
Oh,
could get a little irritated?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, right.
You don't do that." But in this instance, this is one of those instances where you actually can
That's
pay
right.
attention to the hormones, because something I wanted to mention earlier that I didn't mention: walking or staying active, and some things of that nature can kind of boost serotonin, different other things of that nature. Also, getting good sleep. All right, so
Hmm.
those things can also help hinder our
That's going to be.
hormones and how we actually navigate. All right, because the hormones get out of whack for different things. So, kind of be healthy and work on that. And I think some of the things that we can do within that, not only just bringing it up, but validating them, because especially with African American women, some of the healthcare professionals can gaslight gaslight our women into feeling like they're just
Mm,
making something up, that they aren't feeling this and this isn't going on. And one of the
mm.
things I love, just because Dr. Turner is my doctor, I'm not just saying it just because of
See,
this, all right?
yeah,
But he's my wife's doctor as well. And one of the things
okay.
that she talks about when we talk about some things is how she loves that team and that support. And I'm sure you do the same thing. Having that team of support and just
Hmm.
validating them with their experiences and creating a safe place to really be able to express things and being able to be having trustworthy people, that makes a difference too, even with therapists. Right? Getting into an environment where you actually trust somebody and actually think that they're gonna believe or take what you're saying seriously makes a big difference. So those
Mm.
are some main things too that I missed. And as soon as Dr. Pierre started talking, it just started coming to my mind. a
Yeah,
moment ago. But yes, husbands are a main factor. But I think that within that, getting that good team of healthcare providers like you guys, and being consistent and actually being able to be open and transparent makes a big difference.
absolutely, man. Man, these are such excellent comments. I'm telling you, man, this is such great information. And, I want to just drop a little nugget. I'm going to read this comment by my lovely mother there. Looks like there's a question at the end of it. But look, I'm gonna hit y'all with another one, guys. I'm gonna hit y'all with another one here. This is just to talk. Now, look, and look, just to be clear, we're not saying that the healthcare system is all bad, because obviously, we all work in this system, including Dr. Turner's, that and different people even on this, different people that are here supporting us. There's a couple of nurses on, so we all still work in this, and and we're not saying that we would trade it for anything, because it's all bad. But we're just saying that you have to, make sure you're knowledgeable about it. And I'm gonna just tell you this: even when working in the hospital, right? And this is not about any hospital in particular. Most hospitals in the United States of America, if a doctor sees over a certain amount of patients, they're going to incentivize him to see more than, say, 18, 19. Anytime you go over that, you are paid a quarterly bonus for seeing more than 18, 19 patients. What that translates to, the more sick people I can keep, the longer I keep you in the hospital, the more money I make. I want to let that sink in. The more patients that hospital doctors, and this is all over the country, not just Mississippi, Florida, Texas, the more patients, and a lot of these doctors, in a lot of their contracts, the more people that they keep in the hospital, the longer the hospital stay, the more insurance money that they rack up, higher bill they rack up, the higher the quarterly bonus is paid to the doctor. They're getting compensated to keep you sick. And this is the unadulterated truth. All right. Let me, that's a lot of feedback. I don't know if that's on mine, or let me see something here. I think it might be on Dr. Thompson. I don't know if anything has changed. Let's take a look at that. I think. All right. Can you hear us, Dr. Thompson? Can you hear us there? There was a lot of feedback there. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Let's see. Let's try that again. Okay. Yeah, it's your. I don't know if it's a service issue. Might be with the networks or something. Clear now. Okay. Let's go to. Is it Tasha on your end? Can you hear him? Is it breaking up for you too?
No, I mean, I hear the feedback, not anymore, but I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. So my mother is maybe log out and come back in. Somebody said I can't hear. Do a quick test on it. Marshall, say something real quick. Let's do a quick test.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We got you there. Don't go anywhere. We got you. All right. My mom says I had a myomectomy years ago, and later delivered my son, Dr. Michael Bookhardt, by C-section with no complication. But I was told that fibroids usually shrink as women grow older. Is that still true today? I'll give that one to Dr. Pierre.
So yes, fibroids are more common during the childbearing years, and that has to do with the predominant. So during the premenopausal and menopausal years, the prevalence of fibroids definitely reduces, and therefore the life flow, the blood flow of the fibroid is also reduced. So fibroids can shrink naturally. However, of course, it depends on the size initially. So if you had a lot of them, or they were really, really big, which Black women tend to have not only more fibroids, but their fibroids tend to be more severe and bigger. So that slowing of growth and that shrinkage can take years. And so for these women, more than likely, they would have already had it surgically removed. what embolization is.
Awesome.
You're just cutting off the blood flow to the fibroid so that it can shrink naturally instead of scooping it out through a myomectomy. But of course, as you get older, the predominance of estrogen gets lower, so it's like a natural embolization of the fibroids.
Awesome. All right. So I think so we got that. So we just learned that, yes, some of them are expected to shrink. We also learned that we talked about, again, when Sheena referred to the embolization, Dr. Pierre, just, let our audience know that basically that means stopping the blood supply that's feeding these fibroids, helping them to stay so big, so prominent, and causing so many problems. Okay. Dr. Pierre, are you still good for a few more, or what time do you
That's fine.
you sure? We want to, yeah, because we appreciate you coming back, so we want to make sure. All right, let's let's see. And by the way, I know that it's crazy that we're almost out of time now. We just, time flies when you're having fun. But because we had so many prepared questions, but I want to make sure that all of our viewers get their questions answered. So, hey, this is the time, ladies and gentlemen, before we're gone, we're gonna, if my guests can stay with us till 8:10, well, are you guys okay till about 8:10?
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so Jasmine says, can body work? I know, Jasmine, I make this comment every episode, and Jasmine's going to come in here, and somehow she's a licensed massage therapist, amazing. Uh, if you got back pain, leg pain, headache, Jasmine's going to figure out a way to work her way into associated massage. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. We're gonna have a question on that or a comment. So, but we appreciate you. We love the support. We love seeing you every week. So she says, can body work help manage hormonal balance? So, okay, so Jasmine, you're talking about massage therapy. You're saying, can that help manage hormonal balance? I don't know if you want to take a stab at that one, Marshall.
Look, I can't speak on the hormonal balance part, but
Yeah,
I can tell you that it does lower the stress levels, which can help a lot and also help get better sleep and the whole 9 yards, which can be very beneficial. But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Jasmine. Like I said, I should have known it was coming. But yeah, I think that would be a tough one.
I can speak to that. So as I
Go ahead, please, please,
So,
please.
if in body work you mean things like fascial release and lymphatic
Hmm.
drainage, things like
Lymphatic,
that,
absolutely.
1000%, I do it myself. And as I
Okay.
mentioned to you, when I say the body keeps the score, it's not some ethereal, some energy. It literally lives in your muscles, in your
mhm.
cells, in your fascia, in your lymphatic
Hmm.
tissue. So it has to go somewhere. When your emotions get metabolized, it literally needs to come out. And your lymphatic system, unlike your blood vessels, there's no valves. So if you're not actively moving around that fascia or that lymphatic fluid, is going to get stuck and stay stuck. And so body work, definitely just the fact of touching releases stress. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system that Dr. Thompson was talking about. So already that induces a lot of the feel good hormones that reduces the stress, because a lot of Black women, we hold a lot of stress in our bodies and we don't let it go anywhere. In fact, suppressed trauma, suppressed emotions is one of the number one factors in disease in Black women, including cancer. So those emotions need to be, metabolized and released. And so definitely body work is a huge, huge factor in releasing trauma and hormonal balance as well, and insulin resistance and all of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a fantastic answer. And then Dr. Turner saying helps with higher levels of estrogen associated with improved heart health and also mood. And so I would love to piggyback on that because I tell my mother all the time, and we talk about the importance of massage therapy, and she's saying, and like you said, Dr. Pierre, with the lymphatic system, that's definitely a great review, and to let our audience know, excuse me, unlike the venous system, there are no valves basically. So preventing things from moving. And the lymphatic is a free flowing channel system. So when you see people all the time, we see a lot of elderly people with what we say lymphedema, really, really big swollen legs and all that kind of stuff. And we say, oh, well, nothing you can do, is just old age. But basically what you're telling us is that by going to people like Jasmine Briscoe out there in Clinton, Mississippi, that they can get the wood therapy, they can get manual lymphatic drainage and detoxification, as she's saying, and then that will help with that lymphatic fluid, getting that out of there, getting it out of your system, and therefore you're on the way back to having some skinnier legs again, skinny legs. Okay, so she talked about vacuum therapy. So okay,
And the body,
let me.
can I say something, Doc?
Okay. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And just and the body can't heal in a constant state of war and fight or flight going on, and you don't want to have all that happening and a lot of inflammation and things going on as well because you're not getting that proper rest of properly taking care of your body. That's all I wanted to say.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that. I got an interesting question here from Dr. Turner again. He says, I heard that regular sex helps with hormonal balance. And that is indeed the case. As I know that you know, and our other guests on this show know that regular sex certainly does help with hormonal balance. It's a significant release. It is a stress reliever. It's something, with that in the prostate gland. If you're in fact having orgasm as a man, that's decreasing chances of cancer and all kind of other things. And so we appreciate that, Dr. Turner. Thank you for letting us know that and chiming in on that one.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's
Working
great.
out too.
It's great stuff.
Doctor, sleep.
Yep, the sleep. And that was one of my prepared questions, was going to talk about how to sleep, because I know that, I personally don't even get enough sleep. And then we talked about, decision making, insomnia, people not sleeping. We talked about the stress levels. Because I know, man, even I've made some decisions. Maybe you all can agree to it as well, but man, even last year, not sleeping bad, sometimes even depression with the economy, some personal things I'm going through. And I found myself even making certain decisions that it's like, man, that's not me. And at first it's like, well, why am I doing this? And, I went to my own psychologist and everything. We had Dr. Fred Hall on here a few episodes ago as my psychologist and my therapist, and said, man, what is going on? So would you say, before I go back to Dr. Pierre, would you say, Dr. Thompson, that when people are going through a job loss, such as I had last year, job loss, depression, insomnia, can that be a big cause of them making poor decisions and things that are not characteristic of them?
Of course it can. Of course you can. Even looking at, you don't have to be that much. Just imagine you having somebody at home or something, you get into an argument with your spouse or somebody, that can affect the choices. Next thing you know, you're talking to your child in one way, and then before you know it, now you're falling off the roof and realize, like, man, I didn't know that I was this stressed. So imagine something that small can affect how you react. Then how could those things affect them? I always talk about learning how to be thermostats instead of thermometers, because we want to make sure that we can kind of dial that thing down. If we don't, what happens? The threshold effect happens. That's what we call it in psychology, the threshold effect. That's when we talk about you leave home in the morning, you have a flat tire, and you get it home and get into it with your boss or something, turn in right, and you get a flat tire, police pull you over. Now you come home, kick the dog, slap the wife, and beat the kids. All right, those definitely affect how we
Wow.
kind of matriculate through the world.
All right. Can you say that one? You said we need to be a thermostat. Say that one. Just give me a soundbite.
Work on being thermostats instead of thermometers. Right. So when the temperature increases, we should be able to turn that thing down. And one of the other things we need to work out, even though we have these things going on, we got to look at self care. All right,
Mhm.
working on it may be something you might be a person that like to draw, or at least a certain type of music. Take some time, even though you may have to work or you may have to deal with kids when you get home with it. Take yourself 5 minutes. You might sit in the car for 5 minutes. Listen to one of your favorite songs. You might draw a picture. Something. Do something for yourself so you won't burn out and have overload. And those things affect us more than we know.
Absolutely. I know it's 8:02. We've got about 8 more minutes for questions, guys. So go ahead. This is a rapid fire, so we're going to keep all of our guests to like we'll say a 30 second. I feel like a moderator on CNN or something. But we'll keep our distinguished guests to a 30-second reply. So go ahead. Rapid fire questions, everyone. Sheena says, how does let's get that on the screen. How does pelvic floor therapy tie into fibroid management and elimination, if at all? She says, I've been hearing more about it, but I don't know much. So she's asking pelvic floor therapy. So basically, that's training your pelvic floor muscles in the woman. How does that particular therapy tie into managing your fibroids? And I'll give that to Dr. Pierre if she'd like to weigh in on that.
So, Sheena, pelvic floor therapy has not been shown to directly shrink fibroids. However, as we talked about, fibroids do affect the pelvic area because fibroids can cause a lot of pressure in the pelvis and the uterus that can lead to constipation, urinary frequency, incontinence, and painful sex, dyspareunia. So when you're able to manage your pelvic floor muscles, you're releasing a lot of those spasms so that you can be more relaxed. So you talked about sex being really good for improving hormonal balance, but that's not the case for a lot of women. Again, for a lot of women, sex could be very painful, and that causes them to even have more spasms and tighten up even more. So if sex is an environment for them to be able to open up their uterus, open up their womb in a safe space, in a safe arena, then it can be helpful for the woman, of course. But the pelvic floor exercises can help with incontinence. It can help with the pressure and the spasms, and it can help with the pain as well. It doesn't directly shrink the fibroids, but it helps support the womb.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Um, Jasmine says, customize your personal care. Yep. My mom just said, I need to get an appointment. You can definitely get an appointment. Jasmine, feel free to put in the comments with your contact info. Although, my mom's already had the wood therapy and everything, because Jasmine, she will, for certain clients, she'll come to the house. So just put in the plug because she's always so supportive of us. Okay. Let's see. We've got time for, let's say, 2 more questions. Okay. Either on Instagram land or right here on all of our LinkedIn, YouTube channel, or Facebook. All right, Jasmine's asked a question. Dr. Thompson, do you prescribe body work by massage therapists for your clients?
So I'm a person about the whole body. My wife just went to get some of that today because she had some stuff going on as well. So yeah, we definitely do. As far as um, working out is one of the things that I add in a lot. Even though we're talking about body work, it's one of the things that people like to skip that part. A lot of times, kind of working out and kind of looking at exactly what you're eating as well as all these other things too. They kind of work together. I think it's not just a one thing that fixes everything. I think everything kind of works together. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. Uh, let's see. Dr. Pierre, did you want to let our audience know anything else about fibroids in terms of, so we talked about what can they look for. You let us know that this is not always a painful, like they don't always have abdominal pain. They don't always feel pressure. Sometimes it could be just pain during sex. Because we've noticed that when you use the word sex, I always joke with my male clients. We talk about diabetes, and they say, well, I'm always having to utilize Viagra, Cialis, or whatever it is, and these will be gentlemen that are under 50, and say, well, but let's say if they have diabetes and uncontrolled hypertension, especially diabetes. I say, well, if you continue to be non-compliant, you don't go to the doctor and take your medicine, your penis ain't gonna work no more. I do use a different choice word, and sometimes God is not pleased, but I use that word. It's a different word other than penis, but it makes sure that it gets people's attention. And so, like you said, dyspareunia, I always mess that word up, but basically pain during sex. That's something that I would think would get a woman's attention as well. Would you agree with that, Pierre?
Absolutely, because of course, common society will tell you that sex is something that most men tend to initiate and enjoy, but women want to be able to enjoy sex as well. And so she feels disconcerting when she's not able to please her husband because she can't continue, and or her spouse because she's not able to really fully enjoy the process because there's pain in her body and he feels bad. And so, sex is really something that is meant to be mutually enjoyed for both. And so, if that is the symptom that will get you to, do something about your fibroids, then that's that. But like I said, most women who have fibroids at least have some sort of anemia, because the heavy bleeding is kind of, is a huge part of fibroids as well. And so that alone can affect your mood, your energy levels. And so, but that is one part that, again, we're in an adult podcast that we don't talk a lot about for women, because that tends to be lower on the importance scale for women. But it is important for women to be able to enjoy that aspect of their womanhood. And so,
Can I add something to that,
That's,
Doc?
yeah, come on, please, please.
Going along with what you said, when you said mood, you said something major, because once you're realizing or you're thinking that you can't perform or whatever reason, all anger, anxiety, and depression comes from the way you think about things. So now you
Hmm.
start this hamster wheel to catastrophize, and now, oh, now my husband's gonna go somewhere else, or I'm not woman enough. All these different things start happening, and I start trickling down. And not only that, does that help affect you mentally, but it also affects your physical health too, because you can't heal properly when you're not right mentally as well.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Did you all hear that? So we went from the actual medical diagnosis. We're talking about folks that are literally going through this every day. Probably what, thousands, maybe even millions of people. It was definitely in the world, but thousands, millions, even in this country right here. Thousands in this state that are going through this. That it's all based on not only, and if we're talking about women's health, not only from a GYN, a gynecological perspective, but then how that translates to, the mental health, and how that can rear its ugly head into people's relationship, their marriage, and cause all kind of doubts and stress and all that kind of stuff. You see, and again, before we go, that's why you have to tune into Telehealth Tuesday, because there's no other place that they're going to make that kind of connection. No other place will we have Dr. Pierre, Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. on here in one space. I almost wanted to drop the mic on that, but of course we got a couple of questions from Jasmine, so we're going to let Jasmine get the last word here, the last questions. Dr. Pierre. Okay, so she's got two questions. Dr. Pierre, does wood therapy help relieve abdominal pain for women dealing with fibroids, basically, or
so
fibroids?
So wood therapy directly wouldn't, because it would actually be painful to do wood therapy over the fibroids. However, as I mentioned to you, when you're dealing with fibroids, you're dealing with chronic pain in general, which causes the rest of your body to go into this kind of tension, and you carry that stress in the other areas of your body. So doing the wood therapy will indirectly, by relaxing all of your other fascia and doing lymphatic drainage, would indirectly cause a release of stress, which contributes to the pain associated with fibroids. So all of this is part of a holistic approach. So things that directly reduce fibroid are things like hormonal balance, such as insulin resistance and reducing estrogen dominance, and just non surgical options. I think the best one would be embolization, but essentially, therapy does help indirectly.
Excellent, excellent. And let's see. And her other question was, can your body, let's put that up there, can your body shape change? Okay, so this is for Dr. Thompson. Can your body shape change during depression?
Well, we got a couple of things that people can do during depression, all right, that can happen. It can go negative or positive. I mean, based off of where you think it's going to gain or lose. Some people, they, they overeat because of that. And some of those things actually come from lack of emotion regulation. And people don't recognize what's going on. And really, the way I think about things. We keep talking about the way I think, the way I think, the way I think. It keeps hitting over and over again. So if I don't have a state of mindfulness and I'm being depressed in this moment, now I might stop eating. Now, some people may eat to kind of soothe themselves, to kind of hope that they're getting some type of comfort out of eating. So it depends on how it works. And I'm tying in two different things, not on accident, but on purpose. But I think a lot of people, not even talking about that now, don't lose a lot of weight or have a lot of weight problems because they have poor emotion regulation and poor skills with mindfulness. All right. So they don't realize that really I'm eating because I am stressed. My emotions are all over the place. And on the other side, because I haven't been working on being that thermostat. So now when I think to eat something, I just put it in my mouth. You have people that's even fast. Like right now, a lot of people on the Daniel fast and all these other things because the church don't fast. But they go to a place and they don't even
Yeah.
recognize. They start eating up all the chicken wings, all the dip. Like, oh man, I forgot I was fasting. Why? Because you're not being as mindful. So when you start working on being more mindful every day, daily, doing a 30-second or 5-minute exercise of being more mindful, you're gonna eat less, all right? You're gonna make better decisions, make better choices, and recognize stuff about yourself. Your husband might not have to recognize some stuff for you. Recognize yourself, like, man, I feel a little off today. Oh man, I got a little pudge going, or different other things of that nature, just because you're being a little bit more mindful. I know you didn't ask me that, but I felt to put that piece in there. So hopefully that
Oh,
helps
yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, absolutely, man. I'm so glad you added that in there. So I'm no, definitely. Um, so let's see. What and I appreciate it, Doctor. Look, so Dr. Turner, we're going to have it. I'm going to go ahead and you can text me. You let me know your availability because we're going to have you on the show. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there on the airwaves right now, publicly, that we're going to have you on here because I've been trying to get him. Marshall, I've been trying to get him on there, man. But he was so busy, helping to run the state of Mississippi
Yes,
that we
sir.
couldn't, So. But we'll be looking forward to having him on here. Listen, guys, I know we're over time. Thank you so much to our wonderful guests for donating their time and talents, Dr. Natacha Pierre and also Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. So, ladies and gentlemen, give them a hand. Give them. Before we go, I want you all to know, and I want to give them the floor to tell you quickly all about, if you didn't hear it in the beginning, who they are, how they can be reached, whether they're taking new appointments or not, and the things that they're working on. So for Dr. Pierre, she's got a newsletter based in Texas, but she's going to let you know what she can offer you, she can be contacted. Same thing for Dr. Thompson. He's here at Jackson State University. He's going to let you know how to contact him. And also, absolutely, tell folks your social media. Absolutely, follow them. Make sure to follow. And so, let me go ahead and do that. I would like to start with, you know what? Let's start with Dr. Pierre first, and then I'll let Dr. Thompson close it out.
So thank you again for this amazing platform. And right now, I can say that I'm most active on TikTok in providing some kind of soundbite education on in all things health. So if you're on TikTok, you can follow me at Dr. Tasha Heals, DrTashaHeals. And for in terms of my newsletter, you can sign up at substack.com, and it's Mind Body Heal. You can find me there, but also under my name. You can find me there. And then also, if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll be the first to know when my book becomes available. It's in the final editing stages. And it talks a lot about how the body keeps the score in terms of how trauma affects us in our physical health and ways you can, a lot of these tools that we talked about, I'm a big believer of them. I do them all myself because otherwise I would have lots and lots of illnesses based on all of the trauma I endured in my life. So I had to physically release these traumas through energy work and mindfulness therapy and meditation as well. So I think that's super important, as well as, of course, eating whole and unprocessed foods. Those two go hand in hand for especially for African Americans. So yeah, so once I release that, my email subscribers will be the first to know. So thank you so much for your support.
Man, that was awesome. And I want you all to know that if you look at last week's episode, we were taking a deep dive into insulin resistance Dr. Pierre let us know, and even doctors who are doing a great job taking care of you, but a lot of times, we may not look at the lipid profile, the lipid panel, looking at cholesterol. We may not do the computation that she was saying, where basically you're saying, well, not just looking at LDL or bad cholesterol, but like looking at the ratios of that and what does that mean in terms of insulin resistance and how to truly keep your body healthy. So if you missed it, check that out. All right, Dr. Thompson, go ahead and take it away for us, brother.
Man, I just want to say I enjoyed you guys. Thank you so much for good information. Dr. Bookhardt, you're doing a great thing, man. But people on here, man, so much good information. I'm going to say information without implementation is just entertainment. Please use this
Ah,
information. Please,
man.
please use it. All right, it's going to work for you. And I had no clue until last week that my mom goes to Dr. Bookhardt. She said he's amazing. So thank you so
Okay.
much for what you do. So I got to tell you
Wow, man.
that. But
That's
right
awesome.
now, I'm releasing a book on Monday, and it's called In His Defense. And it talks
Wow.
about how it's just not the man. Everybody thinks it's just the man. I'm not bashing the women, but I'm actually letting people know how we both can coexist and work together. It's not just one side. And also talked about how she talked about the body keeps the score, but I talked about how that mind keeps the score from slavery and other things to pitting us against each other. So you can check out my website. You can pre-order that book. Also get the first chapter free at drmarshallthompsonjr.com, drmarshallthompsonjr.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. If you like. And I've got some things released from there. I do coaching and some other things as well. If you guys need help, I help the whole body, transforming and sculpting minds and bodies for a lifetime. I transform bodies too. So if you need to contact me, I'm available. My email address is doctor, but this one with the dot, dr. Marshall Thompson Jr. at gmail.com. The rest of them don't have the dot. And that's it.
Man, that's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Jazz, I'm with you, Jasmine. This is true Black excellence, man.
I see it.
What's that?
Yes,
You look,
but
oh, the web. Yeah, I was doing that
Awesome.
as well. Yep, I see. Yep.
good
In his
job.
Awesome. Awesome.
defense.
Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. So you're dropping that book on Monday, and then
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Pierre, you've already got the newsletter, and so you're rolling out new things. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to do more of this. Not even just in our fraternities and sororities and everything, but even just like this, we as a people, we've got to support each other. There's no more time for hateration and all this other foolishness. We've got to band together. We got to pray together. The world, we already know that we see the chaos that's out there. We won't even go into that. But we see with certain administrations, we see the chaos. We see what it does to minority communities, what's been going on. We have got to do better, folks. So we are so happy to have had an amazing episode. All right. So next week, I think next week, let me check my schedule, because next week, we are slated to have on July 15th, my frat brother, the greatest fraternity, the only fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated. Okay. Dr. Terrence Ware, DDS, who's an amazing dentist, not only a dentist, I'm blessed to call him a friend. He's an amazing guy. He's a great dentist, great clinician. He's going to be here next week. We're going to talk about all things dental. What you need to do, we all need to keep flossing. Okay, we got to keep flossing. Make sure that you're brushing at least 2 times, people. Anyway, we'll get into all that. All right. So thank you again for watching Telehealth Tuesday. I want to ask my 2 guests if y'all, hey, just real quick, as soon as I click off, if y'all will stay behind the curtain with me 1 second, so we can talk offline as soon as we get on. Next week, so we talked about it. Dr. Terrence Ware, thank you for watching Telehealth Tuesday. As always, we love the fantastic support. We're here each and every Tuesday at 7 p.m., God willing, 7 p.m. And so with that said, we hope you'll join us. Make sure to bring a friend. Make sure to follow, like, share, tag, all that other good stuff. Dr. B TV, the word Dr. DOCTOR, the letter B as in boy, TV for television and YouTube. And then we also have Instagram and Facebook pages, respectively. Look, if there's somebody you want to hear, somebody you want us to have on the show, if you want to be on the show, any interesting topics, feel free to DM us, reach out, or email us. So we'll see you on a Tuesday, God willing. This is a place where we treat and discuss mind, body, and soul. And remember, true wealth begins with good health.